Nope. Nope. One thing at a time. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Andrew the Collector here with an update for Runix. As you guys know, I am a stun player. I love utilizing stun and bringing the game down to more of a slow crawl, which is my preferred gameplay style aside from another deck that I play, but that's beside the point. There are many different strategies that you can utilize Runix with, the sprite strategies, the for hires, but I like to opt for just the straight floodgate style, just trying to, mill out your opponent's deck as quickly as possible while halting their plays. A lot of fun. For me, not for them. But let's just go ahead and just hop right into it. The last time I updated this deck was back in November, right before the YCS. This was one of the contenders of the decks I was planning on taking, but I used another deck. And I did some slight updates, which we'll get into when I get into them, and I did some playstyle at my locals, and the results are fairly, they turned out fairly well. So let's just hop right into it. 3 Inspector Border, it's Inspector Border. You've seen this card plenty of times before. You should know what it does by now and why we are running it. You could run a Mono Iwado or Majesty's Fiend in its place, which I think, arguably might be better choices depending on the format. But currently, I think Inspector Border will do just fine. And 3 Performer Pal, 5 Rainbow Magician. Basically, it can be a one-sided Mystic Mine, but its Floodgate effect is all we really utilize it for. And these are the only monsters that we run. Like I said, you can change them out for alternatives, but yeah, I've found pretty nice success with that style. Now into the real meat of the deck is the spells. So let's just run through them real quick. We have 2 Runic Fountain. It's Runic Fountain. It's the heart of the deck. We can't really utilize this playstyle without it. And then we're running 3 Runic Tip. For those who don't know, I'm going to quickly give real update for how the Runic strategy goes. Basically, the win condition of this deck is to just deck out your opponent as quickly as possible, like I said in the beginning. Each of the Runic spell cards have 2 separate effects. The first one is their unique effect to the specific card. The second one is something that they all share. And the second effect is where, when it's activated, you special summon a Runic Fusion monster from your extra deck to your extra monster zone. That's an effect that's shared with all of them. The first effects are all going to be unique, and on top of that, you're going to be banishing a certain amount of cards, depending on which card you use, from your opponent's top of your opponent's deck and banish it. Which, going up against Malice, this deck isn't necessarily the best, but we'll get into what I have in here to combat that specific strategy. So Runic Tip's unique effect is that it's Searcher. It's the Searcher of the deck. It's the best quick play spell. Then we have Freezing Curses, which is the monster effect negation. We have 3 Flashing Fire, which is to pop 1 special summon monster on the board. And then 3 Runic Destruction, which is a spell and trap pop. And then 3 Slumber, which is the destruction protection from battle or from card effects. But for this one, we mainly utilize it for the banishing effect only because I believe it's 3 cards. And that can be quite detrimental. And the one-off Runic cards are 1 Runic Dispelling, 1 Droplet, and 1 Smiting Storm. Droplet, its unique effect is your opponent draws a card, and then you banish the top 4 of their deck, which can be pretty cool. But Dispelling, if a card is added from their hand from their deck to their hand, even by drawing it, you discard a card from their hand and then banish the top 2 cards of their deck. So if you activate the Droplet, immediately after you can activate Dispelling since a card was added from their deck to their hand. And then Smiting Storm is you banish cards from the top of their deck up to the number of cards that they control on their board. This one is going to be the one out of these 3 that you utilize its main effect more. Droplet and Dispelling a lot of the times are used for the summon effect. But yeah, that's beside the point. And that is it for the Runic spells. That's, like I said, it's the main component of the entire deck, which is nice. Into the support spells, we have 3 Pot of Duality, this could be kind of depending on how you play it. This could be counterintuitive to the special summon effects, but just kind of play it by ear. 2-dimensional fissure. To banish monsters that are on the board. You don't have very many in your deck other than these and your fusion monsters, so this is a pretty nice floodgate. Macrocosmos is the one that you want to watch out for, but this is a good inclusion. 1 Pot of Prosperity. It's prosperity 1 day of peace because we're not worried about battle damage either way, so an extra draw is really nice. Terraforming to search out Fountain, and Time Tearing Morganite to just get you 2 extra draws during each draw phase, and then an extra normal summon, but we don't really do that. We mainly use it for the draw effect, and we don't have any hand traps to have the drawback. Now into the traps, which are just going to be 1 of Floodgates. I'm having 1 and the band played on for Ryziel specifically. I did test this out with another deck that I had, and it worked out fairly well. So yeah, 1 skill drain. Because it's skill drain, there can be only 1, and goes in match. I'm not running Rivalry of the Warlords, which you should run it if you have it, but I don't. If I had to choose, I would probably take out Goes in Match instead, because my last Floodgate is going to be Tyrant's Tirade, which I'll get into specifically why this is good when we get into the extra deck, but its effect is tribute 2 monsters. Effects of effect monsters that activate in the hand or on the field cannot be activated. I'll get into why that's specific in just a moment, so bear with me. Now, off into the extra deck. It's full of Runics. 3 Hugin to search out the field spell and to protect your field from being from destruction. 3 Moomin, the Runic Wings, to increase your life points and to negate target effects. It's really good. And then 3 Gary, which is probably the second best one, because upon its summon, you can recycle Fountain from your graveyard back to your hand, and if it's destroyed, you can pop 1 card on the field. If your opponent tries to activate anti-spell, as long as you're able to get this out and they try and run over it, you can pop the anti-spell and just go from there. And it also can be destroyed by card effects, which is real nice. So they have to run over it unless they have a form of non-destruction removal. Now into the newest addition is Selfnir, the Runic Main. This is why I have Tirade in the deck. So his effect is that during the main phase or your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster that your opponent controls, banish both that monster and this card until the end phase. So basically it's Little Knight. Still really good. And if a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, even during the draw phase, keep that in mind, you can special summon a Runic token to your side of the field in attack position. So let's say that you are able to open this and any Runic spell in your hand, and you're going first. You activate Runic Destruction to get out the main, and then you set Tyrant's Tirade. During their draw phase, you activate this effect to special summon a token, so now you have 2 monsters out on the board. And during their standby phase, you activate Tyrant's Tirade, tributing both of these. Now they're locked out of monster effects, basically, unless they're in the graveyard or banished. Absolutely bonkers. I did have the fortunate moment of being able to activate this with against Ryziel. It was an absolute blowout. Absolutely marvelous, and I loved it. So yeah, that's why I run Tyrant's Tirade, because of main, and I didn't have main in my last update. I only got it recently because I wasn't able to get my hands on it because it was either a little bit out of my budget range, or I just didn't have the time or the means to do it. But I finally got 3 main, and I was able to practice with it, and I love main. I don't know why I went so long without it. 2 Freki, just as an extra backup for any of your Runic plays. And then my last spot is for Elder Entity Intist, just for the lulz, just for the memes. But I had one spot in my extra deck left. I was thinking about putting in Bagooska, but I can't find mine for whatever reason. But if you have Bagooska, you can put that in. But I have Intis in here just in case, because some Voiceless Voice builds have been running Maximus, and just having this just as insurance is really nice. Into the side deck, I have 3 Spooky Dogwood because of time rules, we don't really inflict any battle damage to our opponents, so having this is a nice clutch. It's probably the one deck aside from Aromage that utilizes it best. 2 Lava Golem. I was using Raw Sphere Mode instead of Lava Golem because of Centurion specifically, but I haven't faced Centurion in a good while, so I feel like Lava Golem is a good replacement, mainly because with Malice and Lyriziel specifically, they don't go up to 3 monsters on the board, at least right away. So I think Lava Golem is a good middle ground area to have, especially right now. That could change if the format changes on, but it's not really that detrimental. And if you go up against Blue Eyes, all you have to do is just go over their 2 they might have more than 3 bodies out on board, but you just have to get rid of their synchro monsters and you'll be good to go. And 2 Prohibition. If you know what you're fighting up against and you open this in your hand, activate it, call out a card that that is their main playmaker, and they won't be able to use it. Simple and effective, or just use it against any specific back row hate like Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone is probably this deck's biggest weakness when it comes to back row. So, kind of play it by ear, see how it goes. 2, and the band played on, just extra spaces for Ryziel. 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Okay, hear me out. This spot is mainly for Soul Drain, but I do not have Soul Drain. And as of this moment right now, Soul Drain is a bit expensive because I believe it only has 2 or 3 printings of it, and they can range between $15 to $20 to even $30 a piece. So if you have Soul Drain, put Soul Drain in here specifically for the Malice matchup. If not, then Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is a good second, because sure, they activate their banish effects to summon them back to the field, but once they hit the field and Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is on the board, they can't really do much. So yeah, it's a nice safe bet, but if you have Soul Drain, it's a lot better. And then their last floodgate is going to be Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. For the Blue Eyes matchups and Centurion, Kashtira, any deck that utilizes synchro monsters or high level monsters is what this card is made for. I used to have it in the main, but since Ryziel and Malice came swarming in, I decided to trade it out and put it in the side, but it's still really good. And the last card in the deck is 2 Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell. Your opponent activates a spell card, you activate this, discard a spell card, negate the activation, and your opponent cannot activate copies of that card's name for the rest of the duel. Absolutely crucial, especially against cards that are going up against your back row. And that is it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down below for notifications. And if you want to see any updates on any of the other stun decks or any other decks that we do, or if you have ideas for any unique videos that you want to see from us, be sure to let us know in the comments down below and we'll do our best to make that happen. But until then, we'll catch you guys in the next one.